Hey, and welcome to another video. So this one's going to be a little bit different today. I'm going to be looking for a range of different edible species, really delicious edible species that I've learned in the past few weeks. And these are really easy to spot in the wild and really easy to identify. And not only that, but they don't have a lot of common lookalikes, so they're really easy for beginners to just jump in and find these in your local woodlands. So yeah, there's going to be three in particular that we're looking at today. It's the hedgehog fungi, which I mentioned briefly in another video. We've got the amethyst deceiver, and then the winter chanterelle. So these three mushrooms, they're really amazing, delicious mushrooms, honestly, and you'll pay a lot of money for some good winter chanterelles. So I'm going to show you how to spot them in the wild today. And I'll show any other mushrooms that I see along the way. I can see loads of different species around my feet as I stand here. Including some Liberty Cap lookalikes, so I'll go ahead and point those out. But yeah, really looking forward to sharing some of these delicious mushrooms with you guys today. I've just come across this. It's a pile of dung. I think it's cow dung, and growing off it are these amazing, beautiful little mushrooms. And in my mind, they are identical to Liberty Cap lookalikes. Well, they're identical to Liberty Caps when they're fresh. Now this one especially, they really are super reminiscent of the Liberty Cap. The only thing they're really missing is the nipple on the top. I have no idea what this species is, but I know that it's not a Liberty Cap because it's growing on dung and it's in a woodland. So for me, yeah, you wouldn't want to go picking those and eating those. So this is the first edible species that I've come across. This is the common puffball. They grow in abundance in woodland, and you can find these almost everywhere across the UK. Now I'm not going to pick any of these because I don't actually enjoy the taste. They're very slimy. Tried them once and I won't try them again. Now if you're out looking for these, be careful because there is a lookalike that's deadly. So make sure you know what you're looking at before you pick these guys, but personally wouldn't recommend them. Now just while I'm walking around looking for some of these edible species, I just wanted to make a quick comment on how amazing fungi really is. And for those of you that aren't aware, especially in a woodland like this, fungi are absolutely fundamental to the well-being of the trees and the forest as a whole. So in many fungi species there's an exchange going on, and oftentimes fungi will pair up with a specific tree and they will help that tree through life. So in many cases the tree will pass the fungi nutrients that it needs, and in exchange the fungi will pass nutrients to the tree through the roots, and they kind of connect with the roots of the tree. And it's also been shown that trees can actually communicate through fungi under the ground, and that's just bizarre. It's amazing, isn't it? And you know, especially for those of you that have had experiences with magic mushrooms, you really get a sense for that when you're in the experience. So yeah, the fungi in this particular case, in this woodland, is essentially the internet, the communication network for the trees. Now I can't go into the specifics of it. I'm not an expert on these things. I'm not sure. I think these trees are spruce, and so I'm not entirely sure if the fungi around here are actually in a connection with the trees, but in many cases they are. So I'm going to press on now, keep an eye out for some edible species, and I'll keep you posted. So here's the first edible species that I really love to eat. It's really delicious, and this is called the hedgehog fungi. I showed this in a previous video, so you might remember it from that. But as always, when you pick these guys, any mushrooms, try to use a knife. This is a really beautiful knife. This is an Opinel knife. Take it with me everywhere. And so here's the hedgehog fungi. So as you can see from above, they're not the traditional looking mushroom. They're kind of like a blob. They're often really easy to spot on the forest floor because they're so bright. Now this particular species is peachy, pinky white on the top, and they can be all kind of irregular shapes, and from above you're just going to see them like this on the ground, like a big lump. Now on further inspection, if you cut the mushroom and turn it upside down, this is how you really get to know the hedgehog fungi, is because of these spines underneath. Now these spines, they kind of fall off if you rub them like that, you see. And yeah, This is a super easy to identify mushroom. You can't get many lookalikes of these in this country. But yeah, with that being said, always please make sure that you're 100% certain that what you've got is correct, and before you eat it, make sure you do a bit of research at home. It can be part of the fun, you know. Have a research online, get some books to help you identify. But this is the hedgehog fungi. Really delicious. It tastes like chicken. You can add it to stews, curries. I often fry it up with a breakfast with a bit of garlic, salt and pepper. Slice it up, give it a clean. Bob's your uncle. Really delicious. Keep an eye out for these. Okay, so the star of the show. This is the winter chanterelle mushroom, and these are a prize find. Many people will know already that the chanterelle is a delicious mushroom. They grow in abundance in France. This species in particular is grows in abundance in winter time in the UK, hence the name winter chanterelle. They can grow all the way up till December, and these are super delicious mushrooms. Really easy to spot and find because of their distinctive yellow colour. I only learnt about these a few weeks ago, and I've been eating them every day since. So the winter chanterelle, they have this hollow stem which you can identify by cutting them, and that is also visible in the top of the cap. They have this tube-like structure all the way down the middle there, and so the stem is obviously yellow. The cap can be brown, yellowy. It's wrinkly. It can have all different kind of shapes. I'll show you a whole different range of them here. You can see them in the background, all these yellow blobs. This is the winter chanterelle. Underneath it has gills. Yeah, the gills, they're not like the common kind of gills you would see. They're very much like root structures in trees. If I just show it upside down, you'll see there you have these kind of long gills and then short ones in between. So yeah, the winter chanterelle grows in woodland like this. Often thrives amongst the litter, the leaf litter, the twigs. Again, you would just want to fry this up with some salt and pepper and garlic. Really delicious. They mix lovely with the hedgehog fungi as well. So I'll show a few of these now. As you can see, here's a tiny little family of them, and they're almost like little alien fingers popping up everywhere. There's loads of them here. Look at that, absolutely spectacular. And even here, look at that, amazing. Now these are all teeny tiny, and I will come back in a few days and these will be ready to pick, but I wouldn't want to pick these tiny ones yet. Now as they age, they get bigger like this, and when they age even more, they open up into this classic chanterelle like appearance. I'm going to slice this one just so you can see it. So when you buy chanterelle in the supermarket, you probably see them more like this, where the cap has completely folded up on itself and is kind of wrinkling over. So that, if you saw that on its own, you'd think, well, that's not even a mushroom. I mean, it's the same species. You can hardly believe it, can you? So yeah, the defining features of this mushroom is its yellow stem and its brown cap and this tube-like structure through the middle. I'm not 100% certain about the lookalikes of this species, but it's just so easy to spot. I mean, for every mushroom that I pick here, you'll see they all have the same characteristics. So it's the hole down the middle, hollow tube, yellow stem, and these really defined gills that are almost white. When they're young, they're super tiny, like little pinpricks like this, and as they get older, they wrinkle up. So I'm going to go around and show a few more. There's hundreds of them here. I could fill this entire basket full of them, and I might just do that. So I'll keep you posted as I go along and show you a few different variations of them. But this is the winter chanterelle, highly recommended. Get out looking for this one, super delicious. So I seem to have hit the jackpot here today. There are absolutely hundreds of these guys, and they go on as far as the eye can see. If you come across a haul like this, consider yourself lucky. And one thing that's really important to say is don't take them all. There's no need, you're not going to eat them all. Leave at least a third of each patch, just so that the species has the chance to do its role in the forest. Don't want to be greedy and just take too many. So only take what you need and leave the rest for the forest. So here's the third edible species for the day. This is the Amethyst Deceiver. Now it's known as that for its fabulous purple colour. Now these are a particularly old bunch, and so they're not as purple as they are when they're fresh. But on a bright day with a fresh bunch of these, you cannot miss them. They're so purple you think they would have dropped from outer space. Yeah, and believe it or not, these are edible. Now, they're really easy to identify because of their colour, and there are very, very, very few lookalikes. Excuse me, I just pulled that one up from the ground, and I shouldn't have done that, because as you can see, I've pulled with it a load of its mycelium network, and so that might not grow back, and I may have disturbed the network under the ground now. I did that quite ignorantly, so sorry, little mushroom. Yeah, so these guys, they start off like this, quite round, flat UFO kind of like shaped caps, and then as they get older they really deform. There's my knife. They really deform like this, and they go all wrinkly and still quite beautiful and spectacular in their colour and in their form, but they definitely turn into a bit more of a deformed shape. Has a reminiscent feel of a vagina there, doesn't it? Depends what kind of vaginas you've seen. But yeah, these ones are edible. A lot of people say just to remove the cap because the stem can be quite tough and fibrous. But yeah, it's pretty easy to identify for newbies and beginners. Just look for a purple mushroom on the forest floor and it's pretty much guaranteed to be that one. So again, you just fry these up, put them in a stew. Do as you wish. I prefer to cook them for a long while. If there's any bugs in there, they will come out as you cook them, but who cares? A little bit of protein wouldn't hurt. Yeah, just make sure that, again, you know what you've got. Do a bit of research on your own. Don't just trust anything I say. Definitely don't trust what I say, because who am I? Do your own research. Make sure you're comfortable. Yeah, I'm going to pick these up, stick them in my basket, but have a look at this. So here's the winter chanterelles I've got so far. Loads of them. And now it's a good point for me, it's a good point in the video for me to tell you, when you get home as well, just go through them all one by one and just check that you've not got an imposter in there, because, you know, you might be just chopping away, getting a bit happy and merry, pick one up, stick it in the basket, and it might not be what you think. So it's always worth just double checking. I nearly did it a minute ago, actually. I just chopped a few off and nearly took an imposter with it. So lovely bunch of wind chanterelles there. Cannot wait to get these all buttery and delicious in the pan. Bit of moss. You don't have to give these a clean when you get home either. You don't have to run them under water. I mean, scratch off any dirt, but the joy of using a knife means that, like I did with this one here, if you pull them up, you get all the dirt with it as well. So it's not only bad for the mushroom, it's bad for you. So just use a knife, because then you get this clean cut and there's no dirt, and you can just stick that straight in the pan. Bish bash bosh. Some of you might be wondering why I've got a basket and not a plastic bag from Co-op or Tupperware. Well, this is actually my girlfriend's basket, but there is a good reason to use a basket when you're out foraging mushrooms, and that's because as you pick the mushrooms like this, and as you walk around, what you're doing is you're doing the mushrooms a job, and you're spreading the spores everywhere, so that next year when you come back there'll be loads more. So yeah, always better to use a basket when you're picking mushrooms rather than use a plastic bag, just to help the mushrooms along the way. So that's it for today. I've just found a load more Amethyst Deceivers, but because they're so old, they're going brown. It's not what we want. Oh, the rain's coming down heavy now. So yeah, that's me done for today. Got a nice big basket full of chanterelles. I hope that you found this useful. You know, it's just nice to connect with fungi in a different way, not just to have a magical trip with them, but to make them part of your diet and to learn more about them. And There's so much more to learn. There's the medicinal ones, especially the ones I'm working with at the minute, is birch polypore and chaga. There's an abundance of benefits. It's almost like a miracle fungi, like a free medicine that you can gather from the woodland. So I'm going to make some videos on that very soon. But as I said, hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you get out there looking for your own edible fungi. If you get some and you find some and you fry them up, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know what you think. Yeah, stay tuned for more. As always, be safe. Make sure you know what you're picking. Don't go picking some random stuff and eating them up. Yeah, cool. I'm gonna leave it there. Peace.